Hey guys, Afian here. If you take a deep breath through your nose right now and you smell burnt toast, don't worry, you're not having a stroke. I've just cooked too hard, like really hard. Um, Today was our like regionals, and I went X-3, which is not the best. But I wanted to show you the list anyway because it still contains some of my like general thoughts about Purrely for this format, and I thought it might be just interesting as well. Um, of all the like Purrely players there, none of us did like particularly well. I just think Purrely's really bad right now into the format, with like more hand traps floating around, impulse floating around. It just like Purrely's like really struggling. So first of all, it's Purrely Fiendsmith Kashtira. So I know a lot of people playing Purrely Kashtira right now. Um, in order to play like D-Shifter, but I think D-Shifter kind of sucks because like most of the hands that you draw, even if you draw cash cards, you don't draw the correct Purrely cards in order to actually like play the game. So then you're still like it's still a dice roll on whether the D-Shifter actually works or not. Hence I've cut the shifter and put in like Fiendsmith stuff. The whole like concept of the deck is that like your opponent will interact with the Fiendsmith and the Kashtira cards instead of the Purrely cards, and then your Purrely cards can resolve. Unfortunately, everyone knows who I am, so they all know that I'm on Purrely. They just like wait for the Purrely cards and they interact with those, and then the board just ends up being like Fenrir and Desiree, and it's not as good. Very breakable. Anyway, we'll get into the list. So we'll start off with 3 white cat and 2 black cat. Now the reason for 3 white cat is because I'm playing. I've got a lot of options to discard, so I want to make sure that I have enough Purrely names to actually like make use of them. So that's why 3 white cat, and then we've got just normal spells. So 3, 3, 2, 2, and then 3, my friend. And then we have the 1 Yeep and only 1 street. 1 street is because your board is mainly like it's not just Purrely cards. So if you're playing against like Yugioh or any deck that uses the Unchained engine, as an example, Rage. If you have street on the field and only Purrely cards, Rage becomes useless. Whereas if you have like a cash card on field, then the Rage can use the cash card in order to get SP and then banish the street, which causes your board to be a lot more vulnerable. And you just kind of like, because I'm playing less emphasis on the Purrely cards, I don't want to be bricking on the street. Plus, I don't really need the imperm protection if other things are soaking up the imperms for me. So that's it for the Purrely cards. I think it's 20. Then we'll go for the cash cards. So 3 Fenrir, 3 Unicorn, and 1 Birth. A lot of the Kashtira Purrely lists right now, they're playing like Wraithsoth, Theosis. And I chose not to do that because of the Fiendsmith cards. So Theosis, first of all, Theosis is a brick by itself. So I had a choice whether I want to play Theosis or whether I want to play Tract. Theosis is a brick by itself and also locks you out of the Fiendsmith engine. So then you're just kind of like stuck doing this. And then no Wraithsoth because I was running out of space. I wanted to definitely keep the deck at 40, just to make sure that I'm drawing as many hands as possible where I've got 2 memories. Because if you don't have 2 memories, you are kind of gambling at that point. So that's the cash package. Fenrir, obviously you like search for any like any Kashtira card and it acts as a discard. And then Unicorn is really good with Birth because you can end up using the Unicorn body to get into the Fiendsmith staff or Scylla Hat Rabbit, which I'll show you later. Then we have the Fiendsmith stuff. So first of all, 3 Lurries. Lurry is pretty crazy. Obviously, your memories discard the Lurries and then they summon themselves. So if you summon like Lurry and a Purrely, you'll basically never go into Lily doing this because the Lily can just you've probably not gone through their interaction so far, so the Lily is going to be interacted with and then you don't get the effects off. You can do this, and then from here, if they've got like Anima Zone monsters, you can like faint the Anima, force them to interact with that, or you can even go like Lurry into Laurie into Requiem, and then because nobody interacts with the Requiem here because you'll distribute it off, but it means that you get a really easy IP Masquerena off here, because you can go the Purrely and the Requiem into the IP. Sorry, not IP, SP. Which is really good for like dealing with like target stuff. So that makes Laurie really crazy. Plus also these two like overlay into assembled Nightingale for like a really quick Zeus. Zeus never came up because they always had like more interactions to actually deal with the body, and then I couldn't give up like in the hands that I had with Laurie in it, I needed my battle phase. So it didn't come up, but like hypothetically you can make a really easy like Lyrilisk here. So 3 Laurie, and then we've got Lacrima, which dumps Engraver on the summon. And then last of all, we've got Tract. So Tract's not that good because it just summons out the Laurie from deck, but you'd rather just have the Laurie. But most importantly, Tract turns Engraver into not a brick. Before, if you like draw the Engraver, you have to like discard it and then have another way to get into your Light Fiend engine. But with Tract, it means that you can send the Engraver and then grab Tract. So it just turns a potential brick into not a brick. And that's why I picked to play Tract over Theosis, because Theosis is either a brick or not a brick, and it doesn't like do anything else past that. Plus, sometimes if you open like too many cache names, then Theosis becomes like irrelevant anyway. So that's the Fiendsmith stuff. Then we've got Azarune, because well, when you end the combo, you have like Desiree and Sequence, and you might as well do something with the Sequence body. So Azarune is a nice one to go into. So you go Sailor Hat Rabbit and then set Azarune. And then 6 non-engine slots, being 3 Purrely and 3 Fualos. The reason why it's these 6 and not like normal hand traps is because a lot of the cards in the deck, if you draw multiple of them, it doesn't matter if you have multiple of them, they just like add power, especially because none of the memories are once per turn, the Laurie discards aren't once per turn. The Kashtira cards, you can like, if you draw multiple of them, you can like bait them out. Even like Unicorn, you search Birth, and then you can normal summon the Fenrir, and that's pretty strong as well. So you kind of just want to be like drawing into bigger hand sizes, because in Purrely you're like paying for discards a lot. So the bigger your hand size, the more gas that you have to play with. Really like the gas for Purrely is the number of cards in hand. Hence why these 6, because you don't actually like need to stop your opponent if you have 10 cards in hand at the end of the turn 1. Plus hypothetically the board that you make should be like almost unbeatable. Going like in game 1, it should be like almost unbeatable if they haven't started into their board breakers yet. So then these, you can just discard them. You don't need the non-engine in hand because the stuff on field does enough work, hypothetically. Then we'll go into the extra deck. So we've got 1 of each little cat, and then 2 noir. This is correct, I think. When you're playing a Purrely variant, you want 1 of each cat and then 2 big noir. This just means that you don't need to commit into using Yeep to get noir back so early. It's like if you make like a noir, let's say off Yeep, and you like shuffle everything back and your opponent doesn't have a way of you clearing your own noir to get in the graveyard to shuffle back, then you can't make noir the next turn. So it just becomes a bit awkward. So it just makes it flow a little bit better when you've got 2 big cats. We've got our Zeus package, so Assemble Nightingale and Zeus. Then we've got, of course, the Purrely links, so Anima and SP. You can make Anima with Laurie or any of the Purrelys. So I went into Anima a lot today. Their boards just have a lot of monsters on them. So there's been a lot of opportunities for me to actually activate Anima and have that threaten something. Because if they, as I said before, when you like discard Laurie, you can go like into Anima, and if they deal with it, you can then like use the other Laurie to go into like Requiem and stuff. It's very good. Then the Fiendsmith cards. So 1 Moon, just in case you don't see the Laurie. Requiem, Sequence, Desiree, and then finally Sailor Hat Rabbit, just as another thing to do at the end. Then we'll go side deck. So for my side deck, I have Duster, Lightning Storm, Lightning Storm. This is mostly for Rescue Ace. It's just good to be able to clear the back row before they can interact. Otherwise, I have too many pieces of interaction. Spooky Dogwood for Tempai and time reasons. It's pretty good against Tempai. If you can like make sure that they don't get onto field spell, this one stops them from being able to kill you because you just gain as much as they're attacking for. 3 Ghost Ogre, which I sided in going first a lot of the times because I'm taking out 6 more Charmy cards, so I need to put in 6 of these cards. Ghost Ogre is really good at dealing with like Deception or the Yugioh cards. It's also really good going second because you can like Ghost Ogre IP and like Temple and stuff like that. Then we have 3 Droll, which is the other like going first card that I would put in. So it's usually these 6. Droll's just good when you go first and you Droll. It just means that your opponent has less options to do. So let's say maybe they have 20 moves before Droll, but then you Droll them and they have 10 moves. So there's like less things that you need to interact with. So your board is more likely to stick. And then 1 Nib. I drew into this once because somebody played into like really hard, played into my Fool Loss. I think it was a branded player. So having the 1 was like pretty good. It's only 1 because I didn't have any other space. And then for my spicy tech, thanks to Jeff Jones for this one, Giant Mimighoul and Mimighoul Archfiend. So the Giant Mimighoul is a time card. It searches the Archfiend and you special summon it to your opponent's field, and then you flip it up and you burn your opponent for 1k, which importantly is higher than the 500 that you take from my friend. And also, unlike, what's it called? Condemned Dark Lord, that one you can only activate during the end phase, and you need other fairies on field. So it's pretty like risky. It's open to a lot of like interaction. But Giant Mimighoul has less... like you'll know if Giant Mimighoul gets stopped before you have to go to your end phase. And like when you're in time, if you like go to your end phase, your opponent like might have a way of like lowering your life points in the like couple of seconds that they have, whereas Giant Mimighoul is a bit safer because you can do it in the main phase at any time and then like base your turn around that, whether it resolves or not. I only went into time once today. I had the Giant Mimighoul, and I had like Kashtira and Fiendsmith cards, and I went the Kashtira line. They don't interact. I summoned a Purrely at one point. I think it was like a memory discard Lurry, summon a Purrely. They impermed the Purrely, and I'm like, okay, cool. I got the imperm out, so the imperm's not going to hit the Giant Mimighoul. And then I was like, well, I should be trying to make sure that this resolves as much as possible, because either this resolves and I win, or it does not resolve and we draw. So then I went into the Fiendsmith line to have the like on-field negate, and then I summoned Giant Mimighoul and they effect veil it, and I was like, oh. So yeah, that's the side deck. I didn't really need the dusters that much. I think the actual like engine for this deck is really crazy going second. I'll gotta go through the combo. Okay, here's the combo. So if you have like some way of Kashtira, some way of Fiendsmith, you can do this. But if you don't, it's still fine. You get into like one or the other, and you can always use your like Kashtira bodies to go into the Fiendsmith stuff, and then just don't finish on Kashtira cards. I found that the Kashtira cards going first were pretty meh. Most importantly, like Unicorn was very good if they like interact after Unicorn's on the field. You can check their extra deck for Underworld Goddess, and then if they don't have Underworld Goddess, let's say you get Fool Loss, right? You go Special Unicorn, they go Fool Loss, you go Unicorn, you check the extra deck, no Underworld Goddess. You know that you can like hard make a Noir and just sit on it, which means that you don't really care about how many draws that they get, as long as you can get to the Noir. So like that's an option. That's why Unicorn's really good. But going second and like as an interaction is really, really mid. But Birth is really good. So Special Unicorn's going to search for Birth. And we'll keep it in the hand until we know that we can actually activate it and don't need it as a discard. So we'll go Purrely and we'll say that we missed. Sleepy, discard Lurry, and we'll summon out Lily. Lily's going to get us my friend. And the Lurry's going to summon itself. From here, sorry, this is normal summoned. You can go Lurry into Requiem, and then Requiem into where are we? It's Requiem into Lacrima, and then Lacrima dump Engraver to the graveyard, and you go Engraver, shuffle back Lurry to summon itself, and then these two go into they go into sequence. Sequence 1, 2, 3. Shuffle back. Into Desiree. And then use the sequence body, and maybe this one you can also use the unicorn because you have Birth in hand. We'll use the example of using the unicorn, but these two into Scylla Hat Rabbit, and you set Azarun. And then from here it's just like Purrely stuff. Lily target Sleepy. And then like 1 memory, 2 noir to attach, set trap. You'd probably use the my friend to go looking for like street or something. Obviously they will probably hand trap you at some point during this, so then that's what the like extra Purrely body is for. And then you go sequence attached to equipped to Desiree. So you've got the Scylla Hat Rabbit, spell trap destruction. You've got the inherent summon negate. You've got the 2 bounces, the Desiree, and we can summon the unicorn back by activating Birth. So then you've got the extra deck group as well. So that's the combo. Going second, I'll talk about going second for a bit. So I side out Birth, I side out Unicorn, and I side out Azarun. This adds up to like 5 cards, which you can use for like the Drolls and the Nib and the Ogres, and the Lightning Storms. Yeah, so I side this out. And if I need more space, I will also side out Lacrima, because you've usually got like bodies that you want to be using to bait stuff out. So you don't need to use the Lacrima to dump the Engraver. You go Requiem into Engraver, because if you get that far, like you're probably not getting that far to start off with, but the board breaking utility that you want to use from the Fiendsmith combo is the threat of Desiree and also the send off the Requiem, which means that they must interact with that. So I take out the Lacrima and just from Requiem go immediately into Engraver. That way they can't imperm the hypothetical Lacrima that you summon to prevent you getting into Engraver. So it's just a bit safer. So these are the 6 cards I take out, and then I put in like the Drolls and the Lightning Storms. Yeah, I already talked about the Lurry being really good as a board as a tool to bait stuff out. I would very often go like a very common play I would do would be like special Fenrir, normal a Purrely, Fenrir like searches for another Fenrir, and then you can like Anima, and you go anything here, and they go no, and then you SP, and you like banish one of their interactions, and of course they'll chain the interaction because they don't want it to be banished, and then you go SP target something else, so you get out 2 interactions with this. This is now off the field, and then you summon out the Fenrir from hand, and you like keep playing. So it's just a really good way of, again, getting out interactions. You just like play through all the interactions, and then you like go happy, summon Lily, make happiness, and then you like just swing for a bunch, and then make noir. Just all the extra bodies is really good for the pretty memories as well. So the whole point of playing so much engine is to play around hand traps, but this actually turned out to be like really bad. And I was talking to another Purrely player today, and they had the same idea. You play the Kashtira cards to make sure that they hand trap them, but nobody ever hand traps them. The reason for that is, unless you're playing pure Kashtira, nobody will ever hand trap your Kashtira cards unless they're bad. No good player will hand trap them, because if you hand trap Fenrir, they've got all of their other engine in hand, and like if the player knows that, then you're screwed, right? Whereas if you play Kashtira, it actually matters. So nobody ever interacts with the Kashtira cards, which means that the Kashtira cards are not fulfilling the purpose of baiting interactions, and then nobody ever interacts with the Fiendsmith cards until you get to Lacrima. Like people will sequence. People will imperm sequence, which is annoying because you don't get the Desiree, and I guess it's at least not on the Purrely. But in order to play around Nibiru, you want to kind of set up your Purrely before you go into this. So it's like picking your poison. But you get really deep into the Fiendsmith stuff before somebody's going to hand trap it. And sometimes they don't even do that because, for example, everyone knew who I was today. Everyone knew that I was on Purrely. Even if I start with even if I start with Kashtira cards, go into Fiendsmith cards, they still knew that I was on Purrely. So they just wait until I activate the Purrely cards, because a board of Fenrir Desiree is like really easy to beat. So they didn't really do their job. Maybe like Purrely Sprite might do it a bit better, because the Sprite cards actually threaten to do Purrely stuff. But I still think the list is very fun. It's very fun to combo off. It's very fun to break the boards. Sometimes it would take me like after game one, where my opponent like full comboed and then I go second and I break their board. At the end of that would have taken like 30 minutes. But it's a lot of fun using the extra deck, using the Fiendsmith cards. The Fiendsmith cards give you so much versatility in your actions. So very good skill expression, very fun to do. I'd recommend it. You guys should try it. It's maybe not the best one around, but you guys should try it. I definitely cooked hard on this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. I've got OTS champs next week, but I'm probably not going to be playing Purrely. It's been very difficult to play Purrely, because Purrely right now just loses to 2 hand traps, and people are playing a lot of hand traps, and there's a lot of advantage engines in like the Azamina stuff. Just like Purrely just loses. If you're playing a hand trap battle with somebody, Purrely loses out just by the fact that you need to discard a card. So Purrely's been very difficult right now. I still love it. And I think that this was very, very, very fun, and it was very fresh for me. So I really liked it. But yeah, let me know how you guys are experiencing Purrely, and I'll see you guys next time.